There has never been a time when so much paper currency was printed by governments. Previously, money printing has been happening in many places, but there has never been so much borrowing, spending, and money being wasted by the administrations. Therefore, nothing like this has ever happened before or since, especially on this scale. And whether we like it or not, all of that money floating around needs to go somewhere. Now, for today's video, here at Investing Path, we will be delving deeper into this money printing scheme that's been going on for a while, and how it will affect the American economy. But before that, please make sure to give this video a like and subscribe, and hit the bell button as well to stay updated for more of our content. But besides that, let's get into it. Now, the truth is, according to Jim Rogers, this money printing will eventually affect people severely. Meanwhile, the patterns are all beginning to take shape and collect bubbles. People who have never invested before are flocking to the stock market because they've heard it's so fun, so easy, and you can make money. They see it and rush to enter it. Though Walmart's packets have been there for 300 years, they tend to increase in price again after extended bear markets. In other words, this is not Jim Rogers' first time in calling it a plateau. He has seen it all before, and what he wants us to know is that investors may flee the markets as a result of this conflict, and central banks may regret deciding instead to reverse their previous decision to cut back on money supply instead of raising interest rates. Past occurrences of this kind can be attributed to a few specific factors. Some individuals used to take notice whenever the Central Bank of the United States increased interest rates in the increments of 3. People were frightened for the first time, but they rallied and left the building the second and third times. Now, who knows? We can say for sure if that will be the case by the final count, but Jim Rogers is only observing for now, along with the rest of us. On the other hand, Jim Rogers said that he hasn't sold out yet, haven't sold short yet, but he's absolutely scared because he sees bubble forming in many countries, in many asset classes that's happening everywhere. Meanwhile, the Chinese were fantastic enough and have been less worried than the rest of us. They've been a little more conservative, but even they have obviously borrowed and it's been printed. It's been a lot of money. Virtually everybody's been doing it. North Korea probably hasn't been doing anything, but it seems like a lot of other countries are getting involved in this activity. Now, Jim Rogers said that it is entirely possible that we will act in the opposite direction. The correction is followed by the central banks panicking and printing more money, which is followed by the wild and blow-off. There are many blow-offs in the market when things go out of hand and everything suddenly rises. A blow-off is the old term for this. If things do turn bad, central banks might panic because, they only worry about their jobs. To them, protecting their employment is more important than helping ordinary people. As a result, if they suddenly become concerned, they might print more money and buy more assets. Yes, of course. Over the course of human history, there have been blowouts in every region. This sort of thing has occurred frequently. As of today, Jim Rogers anticipates a blow-off before this is over. You have to stick to what you know in order to make it through the bad times, because if you don't, you'll be thrown around wildly. Don't stick around if you aren't sure of what you are doing or how things are going to turn out. The markets are not something you have to constantly monitor. Still, he assures people that even if you have to miss out on something for a little while, it is better than missing out on everything when things truly start to go bad. His recommendation is that you stick to what you are good at and avoid anything you are not familiar with. Feel free to enter and exit at will. There's always the option of turning on the TV or surfing the web. Fundamentally, he believes that these events do occur and that yes, we do sometimes get blowouts at the end of the longboard markets. This results in a lot of newcomers getting overly enthusiastic and acting erratically. Jim Rogers said that he has lived long enough to recognize the possibility of this happening and to practice making accurate assessment about it. The United States of America is now the world's largest explosion, which is bad news. And at the end of the World War II, we had significant obligations, but we also had massive savings as a result of the Great Depression and the war. Since many of these things were regulated or restricted during the war, the United States saved a lot of money as a result. Due to the surplus of resources at the end of the war, we are able to pay off this massive debt with the funds we had accumulated. We constructed many plans throughout the war to provide capacity reductions to help reduce America's debt. Currently, we have zero saves. Unfortunately, we don't have much unused production capacity. In comparison to the late 1940s, the current scenario is drastically different. Furthermore, America has accumulated more debt than any other in global history. Our military resources are stretched too thin around the globe. We currently have troops stationed in over 100 different nations, something that was unheard of in the 1940s. Our current course of action could lead to difficulties in the future. It is true that other countries have had issues in the past, but if that's the case, then predicting the end of the American Empire seems like a leap, but it might be the best there is. During the 1920s, the United Kingdom has the world's leading economic and military superpower. After 50 years, they had to declare bankruptcy to save what was once the wealthiest and most powerful country in the world. The IMF have to really travel to London airport and bail them out. Despite occurring often in the past, history may and will repeat itself when it occurs to us. Jim Rogers has no idea regarding this one, but he can see the debt from here and know what's going to happen to us. The situation is worse rather than improving. It is rising to the very top. That much is clear. This is something he'd rather not have to say, but it is the truth. The Mississippi River will eventually run dry and disappear. We don't think the Rocky Mountains will give way. The United States will still exist, but in a different form, much like the United Kingdom. Inflation is clearly present at this time. Massive money printing has invariably caused inflation throughout the history, and that's something we can see happening. So yes, we do anticipate price increases. It won't bother us and Jim Rogers if prices go up. It is a bubble to invest in bonds. The cost of bonds has never been higher. There are signs of bubble formation in the stock market. Real estate is experiencing a big bubble in numerous countries, including Korea, New Zealand, and many more. Silver is down 60% from its all-time high. Sugar is down 60%, and many commodities are still down a lot. So that's the only place Jim Rogers knows of where there's not a bubble and where products are still inexpensive. Money printing has historically caused inflation, which can be profitable if you hold assets that appreciate in value. You should know that if we decide to pursue the route of electric cars, they will require significantly more copper than gasoline-powered vehicles. So, hopefully, there are methods to earn money, provided one is alert and ready. Even though the past rarely rhymes exactly like it did in the 1970s, for example. It often does. Whether commodities prices rise is irrelevant. Commodity prices rose in the 1970s, but history is littered with extended period of rising costs. Then, they're in the dumps for a while. Perhaps we've entered a time when, if you own things and they go up, you don't care what the situation is like. That you possess them and are profiting from their appreciation is the only thing on your mind. We spend a lot of cash printing them, but Jim Rogers can't exactly say whether or not it means anything. Lots of wasteful spending, but never before we have seen something like the current level of spending and printing money. But so far, what do you think about Jim Rogers' thoughts on the upcoming financial crisis? Do you think it is something that everyone should be worried about? Or is it not really a problem to stress on for now? Let us know in the comment section below, and we'd be more than glad to read them. Besides that, we thank you so much for watching. This is Investing Path, and if you enjoyed watching this video, then might as well hit the like, subscribe, and bell button to stay updated for more of our content about personal financing and investment. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in our next videos.